Today is a little bit different, guys. I'm going to take you to my office. Hi! Ça va et toi? Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so this is my office. I'm not going to show you everything, but a little bit. In a few weeks, I'll give you a tour. Still a sneak peek of our library. I'm still gathering things that I'm like always working with. Okay, and we have like amazing view on this farm in Manhattan. Okay. So I'm gonna settle and then we'll do a little YouTube video. I feel like we're in a very like normal YouTube video today. Don't get used to it too much. I like where things are a little bit more imperfect than that stage. But this is actually like really in our office, like we put this little place where depending on a global pandemic or something, a terrible snowstorm, we can still shoot video. And also today is a bit different because I do want to talk a little bit more about some philosophy and techniques I have behind the makeup. That's why it's actually better that we kind of sit down together and I can talk more freely. So last week's newsletter, for those who knows, was about no contouring and why don't contour. If you didn't subscribe to my newsletter, every Sunday I send my thoughts on life, beauty and the beauty philosophy and how beauty can really be connected to mental health. And it's something that's quite important for me to discuss because when I moved to the US and I've seen like how this new trend of using makeup as a way to transform our features, I understood like it's like using a, how do you say, crutch? Crutch.
Yes.
Not crotch. Crutch.
It's just like literally a guide. Yeah. Stuff.
No, we're not going to talk about this today. So, you know, you get used to walking with it, but like it makes your legs or whatever weaker. And I feel like contouring is kind of what it is for your face. If you use it in an artistic way because you love to paint your face, that's different. But if you really use it to change your features, to feel better about yourself, I feel like your self-esteem is actually getting weaker because you change your features every day and therefore you're not learning how to love your own features. And that's what I've been talking in my last week newsletter too, is like, I know that you weren't perfect. So I want to share a makeup philosophy that's going to help that because at the end of the day I want you guys to be happy and I'm not here to provide like short-term solutions. So this coming week, this Sunday, the newsletter is about, okay, why I don't contour, but why I love highlighting, so I can explain about the difference. And so you'll learn a little bit more about my story and how I made it in industry, in the business, etc. And so I wanted to actually show you concretely what I do. So in the newsletter I talk about how, you know, I started with art school and I was completely mind blown by neoclassicism because it's really about how you show brightness in the darkness, and there are many paintings that I'm obsessed with that are reflecting this. We'll put my favorite on the video right now, and you can see on the painting how everything looks so dark, and but then she looks like a halo of light. So that's something that really passionate me, and that was how I was inspired to do my complexion when I started, not mine, but like on models when I started my career. And I kind of wanted to show you this because I see online people like doing, you know, baking and then putting those powdery texture, and to me I have dry skin or a little bit more mature skin, I guess, and it just doesn't look good at all. So if I'm not looking good like this, I'm sure out there's more people. And also maybe if you have very young skin and like no texture, no pores, it might be good, but I feel like for most of us, it's not gonna look natural. So I want us to think about, okay, how do we look good in picture, of course, but also how do we look good in real life, so our makeup doesn't look like we're wearing makeup, but it's your skin that looks like this. Okay, so beside mascara, I have nothing on my skin, so I'm gonna do this. For me, it's important, it's part of highlighting, to apply it quite wide, but I want to stop on the apple of my cheeks, because when you do painting and you paint a face and it's completely flat but you want to bring volume, you're always going to bring highlight wherever you want volume and darkness when you want to crease and something to go a little bit more inside. So I want, of course, this part to be a bit more plump, so that's why I'm going to pad this concealer on that zone. Basically wherever I want to have this halo of light that's gonna look like the apple of my cheeks are more plump, and like my dark circles are kind of gonna blend a little bit more. So at the end of the day, that makes me look a little bit more awake, and that allows me to play with makeup without looking too tired, or the makeup is not gonna like bring me down. The complexion is gonna help me be a bit more free with what kind of makeup I can wear. Okay, so that's basically all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything here. Because if I start applying concealer everywhere, first of all, my skin is going to disappear with the makeup, but also I'm going to make this surface really quite flat. My right side is not the same as my left side, and so this side is a little bit more. The apple is, instead of going pretty like this side, like, which is quite of a nice balm, this one kind of stop in the middle, but that's okay. I could cheat, I could apply here a little bit more brightness, but I'm not going to do it. I think asymmetry in the face is actually good. I like it. I know people try to be very symmetrical, but I actually do like a little difference. Okay, I apply a little bit here as well, just to really open the eyes. And so for me, I like to apply as well here, just because I have those strong veins. So, is somebody dropping us something? Thank you. So by doing this, I'm going to remove those veins that can like pull my face down and make my lips a bit like darker. And that's it. So that's kind of a way to highlight. It's just by removing a little bit of shadows. And it brings some freshness to your complexion. One thing I've done over the years to really replicate this new classical thing is to work with this pigment that doesn't exist anymore. It's very old. I think it was like Makeup Forever or something. It has holographic pigment in there, and even though it looks white, I apply it on very, very deep complexion. What's very interesting about that pigment is that only the holographicness, whatever you call this, is going to show. And that's really going to catch the light. So what I do is, instead of like, I see people like really applying a lot of it, like in a pretty wide area, I like to just focus on the tip of the bump. So for that, I'm going to move around and I'm going to see where am I actually catching the light, because that's where you have to apply it. So when I do this, I'm like, okay, I can see that here, that's my zone. So I'm going to apply it. Okay, so I'm gonna apply it here, and it's gonna look super crazy, but don't worry. Also, it's kind of a blue pink, which I love, because I love yellow undertone complexion. So in my concealer, foundation, on any kind of skin tone I work with, I always have a bit of yellow in it, because that really gives this sort of wow and glow to the face. But then for blush and highlighter, I like to make it pink, so it creates a super nice balance. So I'm gonna apply it here, just there. And maybe what I do is that I'm gonna apply it on each zone, so you can see after how I'm gonna work it. But at least you can see where I'm applying it. I'm not going to apply on the nose, because my nose is very, very thin already, so that's going to change my features and make my nose look super small, so I don't do it there. The idea is, again, it's not to change my features, it's just to give this new classic radiance on my complexion. This, I love to do this here and a little bit on the chin. So when that's done, Okay, so once I did this, I'm not gonna stay like this, obviously. What I love to do is work with balmy product that has no pigment, because I already have this pigment. So I'm going to use my lab samples from my first collection with Estee Lauder called Poppy Sauvage. I had this La Rosée, who was this amazing, kind of a waxy touch to it, dewiness, and I'm using this to pat on top of it. So actually, I'm not going to use my finger. The finger you use is actually really important because you don't want it to be too small. So I like, for example, to use this one, and I put it quite wide here. Then when I pat it, it's really gonna cover everything perfectly. So the idea is very gently, I'm patting as a circle, and I kind of like, you know, make it melt in the skin. So my finger is grabbing of the pigment and then kind of planning it out. So the good thing is that you have this heat of light with the pigment, and slowly it's gonna fusion with the skin like a halo. So that's why when you apply the cream, make sure you always start with the by the center, and then you kind of make it wider and wider, and then boom, you have your halo. Hello, 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 hello. But even if you go closer, you're not gonna feel the texture. You're not even really gonna notice the pigment. It's just gonna create this optical illusion thing, which I love. So I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So I start really by the head of the pigment, and then I'm gonna pat it around and around until it disappears. And of course, because the apple of my cheek here stops here instead of here, like basically that's my other side. It doesn't reflect the same, but that's fine once again. Then I'm going to do the inner corner of my eyes. So the same, I start where there is the most concentration of pigment, and then I kind of blend it out. Then I'm going to clean up my finger, because otherwise I'm going to add more pigment. Grab on my balm and then apply it here, but then I kind of gonna remove the top because I don't want this to be too greasy. Like, I don't want it to look like I have my nose that's a runny nose. And then here the same, I don't want it to be like a whole like a greasy chin, so I'm just gonna apply it like this, and then with the dry finger I'm kind of blending it. So there's just this halo of light here, and that's it. Okay, so that was my balm for puppy called La Rosée. Super, you know, texture is amazing. So basically the goal will be to have a hybrid between these two things. So you see it's like super dewy, it's like an amazing texture, it stays on all day, like I'm really obsessed with this product. So you cannot find La Rosée, unfortunately. It was a big hit. I'm so happy people still talk to me about it. You cannot find this pigment anymore. But don't worry, I got you guys. So now I kind of look super pale. So before continuing, I'm gonna add some blush. I'm gonna use this blush from RMS. And what I like to do is, you know, kind of pad, very gentle, smile, a bit on the nose. Et voilà, make sure I don't have concealer on my lips. Add a bit of lip balm. Et voilà, you guys. So no to contouring, but yes to highlight, just because, you know, it's like I'm putting a little spotlight on your face and you're the star. Hope I see you on Sunday in your mailbox, guys. Make sure to subscribe on my YouTube. I never said it, but because we're doing this setup, I'm going to say it, and the newsletter as well. Thank you for sending me all these messages for the newsletter. That's like, I'm sorry I'm taking so long to respond, but it's really the highlight of my week when I receive your messages. Bye, guys.